Hey, how we doing everyone? Welcome to The Bearded Medic. Choosing a medical school is a decision that should not be taken lightly when applying. You have to be smart and informed in your decision making process. This will be the place you will potentially call home for at least 4 or 5 years. Ultimately, you want to be happy with the place you've chosen. This video is going to be a rundown of the sorts of things you should be considering in order to inform yourself as best as possible before you make a decision. The latter part of the video will signpost you to the best sources to obtain this information. So without further ado, let's begin. Firstly, grade requirements. Of course, the main thing you need to know is the entry requirements for each university. Do GCSEs matter? What subjects for A-levels? Are there any alternative means of entering? GCSE requirements vary across most universities, with some stating specific GCSEs they need and the grades required, and some saying GCSEs don't really matter. In terms of A-levels, most universities state a need for chemistry, one other subject, and a third subject that can be anything bar critical thinking and general studies. By alternative means, is there a foundation year course that you could potentially go on? For instance, this can be done at Bristol or Manchester. A foundation year essentially prepares you for medicine. The grade boundaries are lower, with the payoff being that medicine will take an extra year to complete. Another way to enter could be through a widening participation scheme by some unis like Brighton and Sussex or Aston. If you're eligible, this will also mean lower grade requirements. With Aston also providing something called the Sir Doug Ellis scheme, it would be worth seeing if any other universities offer such gateways that you can apply for. Next we have entrance exams. The main entrance exams are BMAT, UCAT and GAMSAT for those of you looking to do medicine after obtaining a degree. Which unis require which? Places like Oxford, Cambridge and University College London need BMAT, but most other unis need UCAT. Find out what they need and go for those exams. It's worth knowing though, you will apply for universities knowing your UCAT score, but if you opt to do the BMAT, you will sit it after sending your application. This means most people tend to have at least one UCAT option if they have opted to do the BMAT, as insurance in case they don't obtain the desired mark in it. Make sure you check. For those of you applying for postgraduate entry, you may also want to check if the universities require the GAMSAT exam, and also what you need from your previous degree, with most unis asking for a 2-1. Next is location. Do you want to live at home or away from home? In London or outside London? Campus-based or city-based? All the more niche questions you will want the answers to. Consider expenses and infrastructure like public transport, shops and nightlife if you're into it. These tend to be better among city-based unis over campus-based, but campus-based unis tend to feel like a separate bubble with its own self-contained community. Which would you prefer? London universities tend to have higher accommodation fees and therefore you're entitled to get more student loans due to it. Similarly, if you're living away from home you're also entitled to more loans. If you're applying as a postgraduate, be mindful of the fact that you have to self-fund so your location could dictate your expenditure. Now for course structure. Traditional, integrated, PBL, all words you will come across in your research. Videos will be made on each of these things, but here's a quick rundown. In a traditional course, you tend to learn in blocks of subjects like physiology, then biochemistry, etc. The first few years are spent in the university environment, usually learning in the form of lectures. Then the latter years are for getting more hands-on experience. Integrated courses involve early clinical exposure for you to literally enact what you've learned in the clinical environment as early as possible. You also tend to learn by systems or pathologies. For example, if you had a cardiovascular unit, you would learn physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, etc., all to do with the cardiovascular system, all in that one block. For the other systems, these topics will be in their respective blocks. PBL is a student-directed method of learning which will involve you going through cases as a group and learning information based on that case throughout the week. If you want to know more about it, check out the video on PBL at the top right of the screen. The way universities implement these styles greatly varies, so make sure you're well informed on these fronts. In terms of other useful information, you want to be mindful of the interviews and waiting from universities. Most universities select via multiple mini-interviews and some do it via the traditional panel interview. This information is usually more relevant after your application, but it may be worth checking out the ratios of applicants per year, to interviews per year, to offers per year, to see what the likelihood is of reaching interview and getting an offer. You will also want to see how some unis look into your personal statement, for example. Some universities will weigh it highly with entrance exam scores and expected grades. Some don't weigh it that much, if at all, to make the decision to select you for interview. Some may also go through it with you in your interview. Be aware of this so you're prepared. The personal statement is also where you'll want to get the bulk of your work experience across to the university. But some universities also give you the opportunity to elaborate on things you've done, such as Keele with the Roles and Responsibilities form, which is submitted with your application. It may also be worth seeing if the universities you're interested in offer chances for intercalation to make you more competitive in the future. For universities like Nottingham and Cambridge, this is mandatory, but for some you can do it optionally. Some universities don't offer it at all. Other information you'll want to be aware of is more based on each individual university, such as the layout of the years or the locations of teaching. For example, Hull York Medical School consists of 2 campuses, one at Hull, one at York. And for Keele University, either 4th or 5th year must be spent about 40 minutes away from the main university in Shrewsbury. Also, some universities have a spiral curriculum and some have a linear method of learning. Make sure you're aware of this so you're as informed as you can be. Now for where to get this information. All the links will be in the description. Firstly, the Medical Schools Council website. This website gives a good rundown of all the medical schools and what you need. You can specifically choose what information you want. From how med schools use personal statements to the interview methods and the admissions tests they require. Type in any med school to find out the details. It has these details in the form of brief summaries, and you can choose which information you require. So for instance, we can see how the UCAT is Aston's admissions test, and we can see what their widening participation scheme is. Secondly, the Medic Portal website. On top of providing a whole host of great advice and resources on everything to do with applying for medicine, they also provide a comprehensive summary of the medical schools, similar to the Medical Schools Council website. The most useful tool in terms of deciding on universities is the Medical Schools Comparison tool. This will allow you to compare universities of your choosing, comparing everything from succession ratios to grade requirements. It details how admissions tests will be used for each university, and also gives the relevant contact details in case you need more information. Next is a link to a Google map of all the med schools in the UK so you can judge the distances and locations. This tool is so you have a general awareness of where all the universities lie, with it also providing links to their websites so you can explore them in more detail, a very helpful tool when narrowing down your selection. Finally, go to the actual universities themselves. Go to their website, request a prospectus, phone them for more info. The more active you are in gaining information, the more informed and prepared you will be in the long run. Their websites will give you everything you need to know about the way medicine is taught. Some universities even give a year-by-year breakdown. Some also have course brochures for you to look at and see how current students are finding it. Very useful information to know to make sure your choices are informed and that you're happy with them. Again, all these resources will be linked in the description. So this marks the end of the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If it has, be sure to put it in the comment section and leave a like on the video. If it hasn't, be sure to give feedback on how these videos can be improved so they're worthy of your time. Make sure you subscribe and share the video to whoever you think will benefit. And also leave ideas for the future videos you would like to see. Follow along on Instagram and Twitter to keep up to date with the latest and more importantly get some motivation to aid you through your days. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe.